You're listening to the natural Chase Stevens, 3-time NWA World Tag Team Champion. You're listening to Spot Show Podcast.
What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Spot Show Podcast. I'm going to tell you right now, this is a wrestling podcast that is not about wrestling, even though, we do talk about wrestling a lot. I am one of your hosts, Dickie Wabash, joined, as always, by the one-man boy band, Michael Madrox.
Hi, Dickie.
And listen, I'm going to just tell you guys right now, we're not going to fluff. We're just going to get right into it. We had so much fun that we had to bring him back a second time for round two. Let's give it up one more time for Mr. Big Stupid Elbow, the good-looking guy, Travis Weir.
I'm looking over at your Sandman autograph, and I thought that was Big Cass for a minute.
Yeah, we got our little stand over here with all of the memorabilia to try to spice
Tell me
up.
it doesn't look like Big Cass like cosplaying as the Sandman. It's a young picture of the Sandman.
Yeah, it's like from probably 96, probably. The best story of this wrestler looks like this wrestler. Travis is already smiling because he knows the story. So I'm over at Travis's one night and we were watching the Crockett Cup from last year, from 2022.
Yeah, because that's
and it was when the Briscoes won it.
Yep, because that's when I was off. When I had that infection, I was off work.
And Travis's dad walks in the room and looks at Mark and Jay Briscoe and goes, I thought that was that dinosaur from AEW. And then Travis and I both pause and Travis goes, you mean Luchasaurus? And he goes, yeah. And Travis goes, no, that's Jay Briscoe. But from that point on, for the rest of that show, we're sitting there in silence watching wrestling. And I look at Travis and I go, Travis, I kind of see how he can think that was Luchasaurus. And then Travis just starts laughing. He goes, I've noticed that too.
He doesn't even have the mask, though.
But
it's the tattoos.
It was the tattoos. It was the dreadlocks. It was the beard. Jay Briscoe looked like Luchasaurus.
On that night, he did.
On that night, he looked like Luchasaurus. And oh my God, it's just funny that you say that Sandman auto looks like Big Cass.
Just look at him in the eyes and you're like, and you can't teach that.
Oh my God. Yeah,
every time Travis is here, he talks about an autograph right off the bat.
That's just what he does.
Yeah.
I mean, he was talking about the Travis Weir auto, talking about the Sandman auto that was a gift from the good brother, Michael Madrox. We just do that shit for each other. We'll just be like, hey, I just bought this for you. Here you go.
I'm really bad about it, too, because, I know Dickie, and I know the things that, he's sought after and everything, and I'm just like, Sandman autograph. Let's get it.
We've never, this is kind of a spoiler for a topic that we're going to talk about in the near future. Sandman is legitimately one of my top 5 favorite wrestlers of all time. But here's the thing, though. I can't tell you one match that is better for having Sandman in it.
Sandman versus Macho Libre, ECW the reboot. Just watched it the other day.
I remember when he wrestled the zombie.
Yeah.
He did the zombie, he did Macho Libre. He did, didn't he? Oh yeah, it was Big Dick Johnson because he came out and grabbed the kendo stick.
You want to talk about Sandman, one match that makes it better with Sandman just being in it? It's not even a match, it's just a promo work. Him and Raven over the custody of Sandman's kid and Sandman's wife.
Tyler! And he's crying as he's going to the back.
That was phenomenal storytelling.
Yeah. Or, man, what about getting blinded by Tommy Dreamer and then he peels the blinding off and then... Man,
he legit stayed in his house for
months.
2 months.
Let's just talk about this, right? Last episode was the first time Travis has been on. This is now the next episode. This is the second time he's on. Within the first 10 minutes, we're talking about ECW.
That's fine.
It's just
There's nothing wrong with that.
How great ECW is, in our opinion.
Yeah.
It's great. It's great.
My favorite thing was one time you were over at my house and we were watching a random episode of ECW.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
And there's 2 matches, but in between the 2 matches, it's just nonstop compilation.
It was like highlights of him
Promo.
going to Japan.
Yeah, and then there'd be like a promo, and then more compilation, and then a promo, and then this match. And like my ideal when I sit down to watch a wrestling show, like it's hard to sit down and watch a 2-3 hour long show. Excuse me. But, you know, when I was able to watch like Rampage on Fridays, an hour long is perfect.
Yeah, I think an hour long is like that perfect time period for a wrestling show.
Especially
Really.
now.
3 is too long.
Yeah.
2 is like
2's
pushing
okay.
it.
2's pushing it depending on like what the structure of the show is.
But like, I think that's what works for AEW, and that is Dynamite's 2 hours, which sometimes feels like 2 hours, sometimes it doesn't. I mean, it's what it is. But like that's what's made Rampage so enjoyable was it's only an hour. That's why I used to love NXT so much.
Yeah, it was an
because
hour.
only an hour long.
I tell you what, though, going to see a Dynamite taping live with a Rampage taping and a
my
Dark taping all wrapped into
God.
one, it drags ass.
It felt like we were there all day.
And it's not saying it's a bad thing, because
No.
I mean, even with the Dark matches, you're into it. You're there. Like, I got blown up at Dark by the time the Dynamite taping started.
You know what? I will say this, though, for AEW. I feel like AEW is the king of there is no way they're going to squeeze all these matches onto this show, and they somehow do it, and it works. Have you noticed? Am I the only one?
Brother, that's why I'm scared when they announced they're doing Sunday pay-per-views instead of Saturdays. So I'm like, oh, shit, how are we going to get this done before midnight?
There's no way.
There's no way.
There's no way.
What AEW pay-per-view has ever ended at midnight?
Heck, I
Christ
think
alive.
even in the COVID days with no fans, it still was pushing it.
They'd go long. Yeah. But I mean, I think it's okay because they only do 4 a year.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of 4 a year, the Shop AEW figure should be coming out after this weekend, too. I wonder who it's going to be.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, not to date the recording of this, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah, we just dated it.
Yeah, sorry about that, fellas. Hey, but before we get too far into this, I just want to let everyone know that this episode of the Spot Show podcast is brought to you by Sewer Layer Toys, Elite Pro Wrestling, and BurntBuds.com. But you're going to hear a little bit about them later on because we got the brother of all brothers, Travis Weir, is here. And we talked about it last time. We were just starting to kind of get rolling towards the end there with like the funny stories and the stuff that we've gone through that, you know, I don't care. I'll just admit it. We get done recording and I go, you guys ready to go again? They're like, yeah, let's do it again. So we're coming right off of last week's episode. We just recorded it and man, we're just vibing right now. Like we're still feeling it. We're still, even the break in between the episode, we're talking about stories. And I'm thinking in the back of my mind, guys, you gotta save it. The microphones are not going.
Right. I was thinking the same thing. That's why I was trying to be so hesitant about what I wanted to do on this one. And I know, like, there's countless times that I was, like, talking to you on the phone. I was like, oh, we should talk about this. And then we would start talking about and I'm like, oh, should have saved it for this because I'm not going to remember it by the time we sit down with a microphone in our hand.
Yeah, you can guarantee that if you see your phone ring and it pops up Travis Weir, you're going to be on the phone at least an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Unless I'm on my way to work, then it's only about a good half hour.
Yeah. Yeah. But I could always, you know, whenever you were working like 2 hours from home, I could tell when you had to work because my phone would ring and it would be like, hey, brother, I'm driving to work. Because you work at nights. I need someone to.
See, you would get the drive to work. I would get the drive home from work phone calls.
Yes,
Yeah.
because I'm a soft strawberry jelly boy and I got to have my 8 hours of sleep every night at least. And speaking of that, Travis Weir, fuck you, because earlier this week I was sick. I had really bad sinus drainage, had a really sore throat. It was 9:00 at night. I was just about to take some NyQuil and go to bed and start feeling better. And then my phone rings and it's Travis Weir. Didn't get to bed until 10:45. Had to still take my NyQuil because I wanted to feel better. Fully didn't get the sleep off. Wake up the next day a zombie. Come home from my shoot job. Lay down. 2-hour nap. I was back firing on all cylinders.
See, from that story though, fuck both of you, because guess who got the phone call at 10:30 from Dickie talking to me about what Travis and Dickie just talked about?
It wasn't a phone
This
call.
guy.
It was a text.
Well, whatever. You try to call me all the time.
Every now and then.
No,
I do.
it was great because it wasn't intended to be like a long call. I actually forget what I called you for. It was actually something that was semi-important, maybe. I don't even remember. And like always, we went down a rabbit hole because one of us said something and then boom.
Here's why the boom happened, though. Because I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say much. I was going to put it to you this way. Probably one of the best ideas that has ever been proposed for MadBash Studios was proposed during this conversation. I'm going to leave it at that because there is much more to discuss, and I do not like to talk about things unless they're like 95% done.
Unless you want to cash app us some money, I can slide that information over to your earbuds.
Yes.
I don't know about all that. You know what? Leave a 5-star review on the podcast and then prove to us, and then we might fill you in ski on what exactly the idea
Ooh,
is.
a little inside scoop ski.
Yeah, get that. I have started unironically saying ski lately, and I hate it. Who was I talking to? Was it Austin Ryan that said it? Yeah, I said, I've unironically started saying ski, and then he just goes, gross. And then we just went on about the conversation.
You remember that poor guy at that Casey's gas station?
When I said...
When every other word out of your mouth was ski?
No, it wasn't ever. What I said was, I need 20 on pump 6 ski. And then I realized that it sounded like 60. And I was like, this poor guy probably thinks that I'm crazy trying to get gas on pump 60, even though there isn't one. Man. Do you find yourself using wrestling terms in your everyday life to normal people and then they have no idea what the fuck you're talking
Oh,
about?
yeah, everything's a fucking
Oh,
work.
brother, when I'm at work and I'm like, hey, brother, hand me that gimmick over there, they have no idea what I'm talking about.
See, that's so fucking weird, because like you take a normal person and you're like, hand me that gimmick. They're looking around the whole damn house trying to figure out what you're talking about. I could look at Travis and be like, bro, hand me that gimmick right there. And he'll hand me the keys off the door.
He'll know right away.
He'll know, like, I don't even have to point in the general direction, but he'll just communicate by like the way I say gimmick on which item I'm
Or like,
distressing to.
like at my work, you know, gentleman up front was having some trouble. So I said, hey, brother, if you're having any problem, just give me the Iggy. I'll come up and switch you spots. And he goes, okay. I walk away. He looks over at Sam. What the fuck's the Iggy?
Give me an Iggy, brother.
And you notice everything's brother.
Oh, yeah. They're like, why do you say brother all the time? I'm like, oh, I'm just terrible at names. And really, I am. I know faces. And why I say I'm terrible at names is because if I learn your shoot name over your work name, that's what I'm going to call you. So everybody's just brother.
Yeah, we were literally just talking about this before we came in here and started recording, is that we were talking about the difference between saying a shoot name and a work name. I tend to lean towards calling people by their work name because I don't want to slip up on mic and call them their shoot name. That's why it works with Travis. He just uses his real name.
Yeah.
I still try to call him Adam Sparks from time to time.
Travie Lee.
So fun fact, my work name was Adam Sparks, and it came up because my favorite wrestler at the time was Edge, and because I came to promote, I was like, he goes, well, what's your name? I was like, well, it's Travis, because I had another name, I just didn't like it, didn't want to use it anymore. I was like, it's Travis Weir, and he goes, I already have a Travis. I was like,
Why is that in wrestling that it's such a problem?
I think it's because his Travis was actually a champion.
Okay, that makes
It
sense.
was he was a mainstay, so it wasn't like having having two Chris's or two Daniels or something like that.
Three
So,
cages.
yeah, he's like, I already have that. He goes, well, this is pretty much a tryout for you, so we don't know if you're going to be back, right? I said, yeah. He goes, all right, so we need to think. He goes, who do you like to watch? I said, well, Edge is probably my favorite wrestler at the time. And he goes, okay. He goes, well, his real name's Adam. I don't have an Adam. I said, okay. He goes, you got to have that spark. He goes, he's got to have that flair. He goes, I got it. You're going to be Adam Sparks. I was like, that's terrible. He goes, so what? Here's $20. I said, okay.
Yeah. That's a good little... Let's talk about how the worker names came about. I know yours. It's very simple.
How'd mine come out?
You're literally just Michael Myers and the multiple man.
That's exactly how it came out. Serial killer with multiple personality syndrome.
Yeah, Michael Madrox. My name was a rib, and I didn't realize it until a few years later. Apparently, the story that you can probably tell the story better than me.
We used to call everyone Dickie Wabash if we didn't plan on them sticking around long, because Dickie over here came to his first show and did not want anything to do with it, honestly, at the beginning.
Yeah, because Bo Sawyer was the one that gave me the name. And what are you knocking over, Travis?
I don't know.
Travis is
tape.
breaking shit in
My
our
phone.
in our studio. I can't believe it.
I just dropped my phone.
You're fine. But no.
$600 item. I just
Yeah, who cares? How crazy is that? The fucking phone says. Anyway, so Bo Sawyer gives me the name because the first time I ever worked a show, I didn't plan on that I was going to be working. I was just there for a tryout. And someone who was supposed to be ring announcing that night no-showed the event. And I just so happened to be there with dress clothes, and they were like, do you want to do this? And I initially said no, and then Lose Yourself started playing in my head. And I was like, you got to lose yourself in the moment. And I was like, this is my one moment.
Actually, what happened was they asked me if you could talk.
And you said yes because
I
you knew
said
that I
he's
could.
got a loud mouth.
Yeah. And I was like, man, I don't know what to call me. And Bo Sawyer goes, Dickie Wabash. And then I was like, no. So then we ended up, I just took my shoot middle name with my last name. I was Aaron Thomas. And then a couple months later, I'm working heel with Bo Sawyer as a manager. I don't want to use Aaron Thomas. I want to use something different. And we're sitting back there, and the promoter comes up and goes, so what name are you going to be, brother? And I look at Bo, and he's just got this big shit-eating grin on his face, and I go, Dickie Wabash. And then Bo's like, yeah, he's doing it. I actually, when I came back in 2017, when I came back the first time, I wanted to change it. And then I was like, nah, I'm going to stick with Dickie. I mean, it works. And
Now, you did host one show, though, as Rocket Grunt Josh, though, right?
yes, I did. Yeah, when I was doing the YouTube stuff. Yeah.
Completely
You actually-
left out. You completely left out Aaron Iron.
Aaron Iron, whenever I was with Josh Steele, I was Aaron Iron.
What was that connection?
Steel and Iron.
Oh, okay.
Seriously, you didn't get that?
No, I just thought Johnstone said the wrong name.
No, that was my name because I was Aaron Thomas as a ring announcer, Aaron Iron with Josh Steele, and then Dickie Wabash just took over from there. And like, I'm glad it's a good name. I think personally,
It's marketable.
It is.
You took a rib and made it something of itself.
but what makes it
Which is usually how it works in this business.
Yes.
isn't that always?
That's how this podcast started.
Yeah, literally everything that Madrox and I do starts off as a joke. And then we do it, and then we're like, hey, there's actually something behind this. Anyways, the funny thing that always gets me is that people outside of the business will like, Dickie, yeah, Dickie. And they'll try to call me Dickie to like insult me. And I'm like, that's not gonna, I'm choosing to use this name.
Right.
It's not gonna insult me. It's not going to insult me.
It was so funny on the third grade playground.
Dickie.
Well, that's like when the whole thing behind what eventually became not my finish, but my signature move, the big stupid elbow, was we're putting matches together at IWOW, and Rose is like, all right. So he goes, we're going to do, everybody's going to get their signature shine in. Travis will come in, throw his body slam, and hit the ropes and do that big stupid elbow thing he did. And I'm like, I don't know, that kind of sounds pretty funny. And then we go another week, and we're putting a match together. He goes, all right. So he goes, Cage comes up to me this time, goes, I got to finish your match. You're going to go for big stupid elbow. He's going to move, feet up, Shining Wizard, 1, 2, 3. You go under. I was like, okay. So that's the second time it's been called the big stupid elbow. And then my friend Hurd goes, hey, I got $5 if you just hit the ropes and say big stupid elbow and drop an elbow on Kenny because it'll make him laugh.
And then what do you know? That's what got you over was the big stupid elbow.
Abyss actually told me one time, he's like, brother, how, like he goes, I'm wrestling on glass and thumbtacks later. How am I supposed to follow the 3 dumbest words I've just heard in wrestling? I said, I'm sorry, sir. He goes, no. He goes, take this as a compliment. I said, well, what's funny is I want that to actually be my finish, but my two main promoters that I wrestle for says it's not impactful. He goes, "You tell him suck my dick. That move's over."
They're not wrong. They're not wrong. I mean, I've been hit with the big stupid
Those
elbow.
3 words have made me more money than a lot of things that I physically tried to do. So, hey, that's why I like when people say, "What's your finish?" "Oh, it's big stupid elbow." "What's that?" I hit the ropes and say big stupid elbow, and I drop an elbow on you. I mean, I'm almost 400 pounds. If I dropped an elbow in the middle of your chest, it's going to knock the wind out of you, and I can pin you.
I'm going to throw this out there right now. When Travis Weir does hit that big stupid elbow, he's a little stiff ski with it.
Not on purpose. It's just gravity, brother.
I'm just going to throw this out there right now. When you work Travis Weir, everything's a little stiff ski because he doesn't know how to throw nothing.
I can't. And see, that's okay. So real quick, I don't mean to cut you off, but I do apologize beforehand before I get in the ring. I say, guys, I can't aim, and I'm not very good at selling. So if you tag me for real, it's going to hurt, and it'll look better.
Well, I'm glad you say that because that is what I was going to bring up is the time that you gave me the boot snack. Mm-hmm. And you literally told me, you're like, "Dickie, are you sure you want to do this? Because I don't know where I'm aiming." And I put my, I mean, works, but I don't care. I put my hand up a little bit, but I mean, it still hit me in the chest really fucking hard.
I said there's 2 things. I said, 1, throw your hand up. 2, please do not have good glasses on.
I think I had my spare set of glasses on when we did that, yeah. Yeah, that's one of my favorite spots that we ever did was the opening of the match is as Blake Reed's getting introduced, Travis just throws a short super at me and then hot start, Dickie's dead.
You want to know my favorite Travis Weir spot? This one genius promoter, Michael Madrox, booked him versus Blake Reed. I'm talking 2 big hosses, right?
Big meaty men.
Big meaty men slapping meat. They come up to me before the show. They're like, "All right, Madrox, what do you want out of us tonight?" I was like, "I don't care who goes over. I don't care who goes under. You guys been around the bush enough. Just go out there and promise me one thing." They both look at me with their eyes wide in amazement. And I uttered 3 more stupid words in professional wrestling. Double cross body.
That is the hardest ricochet off of somebody I've ever felt in my life. Is almost 400-pound Travis Weir hitting the ropes this way, and over 400-pound Blake Reed hitting the ropes that way. How those ropes held up, I don't know, because we hit them both same time. A lot of force. You ever see that Sprite commercial with the 2 sumo wrestlers like running into each other?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
It was like that. We hit, and I was like, "Oh God!" And I'm surprised there wasn't a rosebud in my tights.
Hey, but brother, guess what? You walked through that curtain, you had a standing ovation afterwards. That was one of the best Travis Weir Blake Reed matches I ever seen in my life.
And see, ultimately, like, Blake Reed has been a big mentor to me in wrestling. He helped me out a lot when I started traveling with him. Ultimately, I never wanted to wrestle him because, like, I just never thought I was on his level and stuff like that. And there's a few times that when we finally did get to work together, I was like, "Oh my God, like, why haven't we been doing this for like the couple years we've been traveling together instead of teaming?" Because honestly, I felt like we would have made more fighting each other, taking that match on the road than we would have ever have as a tag team. But I mean, I still don't regret any of it, but I just remember that, like, we had a match one year. Actually, it was 2 years in a row at UWC. It was the Now or Never. The first one, I had just won the Horizon Cup. And Hurd was Blake Reed. I'm sorry. I call him Hurd. But anyway, he was an established superstar there, if there were superstars. Anyway, I wanted to do the teacher versus I wanted to prove that, I mean, yes, ultimately I proved something big because I was just the 3rd man in UWC history to pin Christian Rose. So that meant something. But I wanted to beat the teacher. And we go out and we have this match. Again, a match that meant nothing to nobody. I don't think the fans got what we were trying to put over, but it was the most talked about match of the night because it was 2 hosses that were worked. I took a black hole slam. I didn't even know I could do that.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fucking momentum.
Isn't that usually whenever the most magic happens is whenever it's like, not that you don't put enough stock in something, but you're going out there because you know that you want to do it. And I think to a certain point, you definitely have to work for the fans as well.
I'd rather go out there and work with that chip on my shoulder with something to prove to somebody than a storyline any day of the week.
Listen, 90%. And listen, whenever I say 90% is my go-to. For some reason, I always say 90%, but let's say the majority of everything that I have done as a performer, I have had a fucking massive, massive chip on my shoulder, because tell me that I can't fucking do something, I'm going to shove it down your goddamn throat.
Oh, absolutely. That's what another reason what a year later we did the same exact match. Well, not the same exact. Myself and Blake Reed.
And that was the match with the short super to me.
He had just won the Horizon Cup.
Yeah.
And of course, it was that time when he won it as the previous Horizon Cup winner. I was to award him with his new, and he had turned on me and this, that, and the other, because he was heel, I was baby, a little peek behind the curtain. Anyway, and he made a comment about how I just got lucky. And then, of course, I made the comment. I was like, well, you're just jealous that my trophy was bigger. And that's what we, finally had enough. I had been doing something goofy before then, which had a lot of track on it, was fun, but ultimately my gimmick was changed because after I had defeated Herd, I had gotten too hot too quick that they had to put me out somehow, which I should have never let happen looking back now. But I don't regret it, because I had time in my life being a good-looking guy.
Yeah. But wouldn't you say, like, to bring it back to the whole chip on the shoulder thing, wouldn't you say that really fed that second match at Now or
absolutely,
Never for both of you?
I will say this, and I will say this with a heartbeat. We should have fucking main evented that show.
No, I don't even remember what the main event was that night.
It was the same fucking match they had the year before, Trick or Treat Death Match.
It was the same fucking guy who was always in the same two fucking people who...
Except this year it was for the title.
Yeah, the only difference with this one's for the title. Oh, but we got to jerk this guy off. One of the most angry, and I don't want to blow his spot, but I won't say his name, but we were in the car with someone one time who was driving, and we had picked somebody up to go to a show, and that person was in charge of the company at the time, and they're talking about who they're going to put the belt on, blah, 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 blah. And this person says, why are you going to put the belt on them? And the guy said, well, because he's there every week. And it lit a fire under his ass. And that car was the most uncomfortable car ride I have ever been in, because he goes, I'm there every fucking week. Dickie's there every fucking week. Put the belt on Dickie. He said, but he's there if that's the fucking criteria that you're going to go by. And he was absolutely right. And I don't want to blow this person's spot, but I mean, I think you kind of know who we're talking about. Travis, I just mouthed to Travis.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of what that person did was also very massively driven by a chip on his shoulder. And I think, again, to bring it back to what I was saying, I think that that's when you are at your best, is when you have said chip on your shoulder and you're out to prove something.
Oh, absolutely. And to get back on that subject too, though, Herd and I, we have that match, and we actually have plans to that go another way, because we were trying to get to the next Now or Never, because we had already planned after when we planned the second one that at Now or Never 3 was going to be the big blow off, and it was actually going to be the last time we were going to wrestle in the UWC against each other. But unfortunately, I had gotten hurt. I tore my groin, and then when I got back, when I was just about cleared, I actually had a scare that I don't even like to talk about, but I didn't have it, so that part's fine. But anyway, and that was when I actually left UWC and never returned. But anyway, when after Now or Never 2, I flip heel. I join up with the agency.
And then you talk about a chip. That was, and we said it last time, that was the most fun I've ever had.
Oh yeah,
that was the most fun. That run with me, you, and Blake Reed.
I'll never forget. We're sitting there, and it's Herd's championship celebration or something like that, and we're talking about like we're going to do this. I said maybe we should do this. Maybe we should do that. Then he goes, nope. I'm going to tell Herd, hey, you won't go out there and do this. And Herd's like, fucking watch me.
And that's what was always great about Blake Reed is that all you had to say is, hey, Herd, bet you won't go do this. You want to fucking bet? And then he would go do it.
Well, the sad part, though, is when he wasn't the champion, though, he would be a little more humble. Be like, I don't know, man. That might not be a bad idea. But when that incident happened and he had that breaking point, he goes, nope, fuck that. He goes, they want this, they want that. They're getting the real motherfucking Blake Reed. And every time he went out there, he would shoot promos, shoot this, shoot that. Next thing you know, he's the champion.
Yeah, that was when he was with me.
And then I started picking up off their vibes and doing the same thing. Next thing you know, they had to sizzle. They couldn't stop, and I started doing the same thing. And then this person who told said person that I needed to fizzle out because I was taken away from him, I actually started doing a program with. And he actually apologized, and hell, I think he's even another competitor that I'm one of like the 3 guys that worked there that actually pinned him. And what's crazy is all 3 guys for that company that's actually pinned him in UWC was managed by you.
Yeah, that can take us down a road that...
And that's where this conversation will end, so that way we don't have to relieve any of that. However...
because there's a little bit of resentment with that.
But that's one thing too that's cool to put a notch in your belt.
Yeah, it is.
Little does anybody would know that.
That's the Dickie rub.
That's the Dickie rub, man, I'm telling you.
Little does anybody know that the big Mr. Superstar himself, the only 3 people he ever lost to was the guys managed by him.
Yeah.
Dickie's that wild card, man.
Yeah. Well, talking about wild cards, I say we get into that here in just a little bit after we take a word from our sponsors. This episode of the Spot Show podcast is powered by Sewer Layer Toys, located at 3197 South 3rd Place in Terre Haute, Indiana. Guys, let me tell you one thing about Sewer Layer Toys, right? You're going to walk in, you're going to see a bunch of stuff that you want to buy, and you're going to be thinking to yourself, man, do I really want to buy this? Do I really need this stuff? Well, yeah, you do. You're going to walk in there, you're going to see a plethora, an endless amount of vintage toys, of retro toys, of modern toys, of that toy that maybe you had as a kid and you vaguely remember it. You're going to see it there, very fairly priced. Listen, I go in there and I love it. I get most of my collectibles there. Same goes for Madrox. We love these guys. Go in there, tell them the Spot Show podcast sent you, just so that I can prove to Scott that people are actually listening to us and that we are actually worth tying our name to them. I'm joking, of course. Listen, Scott and Andrew are 2 great guys. They run a really, really good store located in Terre Haute. Again, if you go to 3197 South 3rd Place, that is behind the mall in Terre Haute, Indiana. Go in there to Sewer Layer Toys. You are going to find some really, really good stuff. This episode of the Spot Show podcast is also brought to you by Elite Pro Wrestling. Listen, I'm going to tell you one thing about Elite Pro Wrestling right now, right? I'm going to get a little bit personal about it for a minute, right? Elite Pro Wrestling made me love pro wrestling again. They put on an incredible product. If you want to see what Elite Pro Wrestling has going on, you can go to facebook.com/EPW Elite. There you are going to find a list of upcoming shows. You're going to find videos from past shows. You are going to find everything that you need to know about Elite Pro Wrestling. If you are in the area of Odin, Indiana, or sometimes Washington, Indiana, then you are going to want to check out Elite Pro Wrestling. Some of the best pro wrestling in the state of Indiana, and I truly, truly mean that. So again, go to facebook.com/EPW Elite for everything that you need to know about Elite Pro Wrestling. This episode of the Spot Show podcast is also brought to you by BurntBuds.com. You can check out Burnt Buds for all your cannabis-inspired clothing, jewelry, and accessories, and guess what? You can know that you're doing good. Burnt Buds has non-binary sizing up to 4XL, and here's the best part of all, 1% of all Burnt Buds profit goes to charities such as the Last Prisoner Project and the Trevor Project. Cannabis not your thing? Well, I got good news for you. Burnt Buds also has a variety of humor, Rasta, and LGBTQ plus themed clothing and jewelry. But I'm going to sweeten the deal here a little bit for you. If you go on over to burntbuds.com and use our promo code SPOTSHOW10, you are going to get 10% off your entire purchase. Again, that is Spot Show, the number 10, for 10% off your purchase at burntbuds.com. That is BURNTBUDZ.com. You can also check them out on Facebook at Burnt Buds. Check them out on Instagram at burnt_buds. Or you can go to Gizmo's Galleria in Brownsburg, Indiana. Again, go to burntbuds.com, promo code SPOTSHOW10 for 10% off your entire purchase. You know, 2015, because a lot of this is when this happened, I feel like that was a massive turning point year for all three of us.
Oh, absolutely.
Because Madrox, you got out in 2015 as well, right?
No.
Or were you 2016?
Hang on, time out.
I got out.
The 2K.
Yeah, it's about.
Hang on. The 2K18 game came out in 2K.
It always comes out the year before. Yeah.
So it was 16 when he had the facial accident, and then you made a small comeback, right?
Yeah, I came back for about a year after that.
So then it was in 17.
Yeah, 17.
So, and then you left in 16.
No, I left in 17.
Oh, okay. I'm getting my timeline mixed up here then.
August 5th, 17 was when I left because that's when I promoted at my job. And it came to the point where I was like, I'm going to be making $70,000 a year. I really can't take a risk of getting hurt on a Saturday night for $20.
Okay, so then that brings, I mean, regardless, we got here in a very clumsy way as I had originally intended. However, but 2015 is when I stopped having fun. And that's why I got out.
And that's when I had my health scare and I was out for 6 months.
Travis Weir gets out of wrestling a couple of years later because he's going to be a responsible person and he realizes that the dream isn't worth the trouble he's going to be getting. Madrox has to get out.
I got out originally for money.
Money, yeah.
Yeah, like that's when I started working with Duke Energy and
yeah. It's when you realize it's not worth it.
Yeah, I got paid more to travel for doing less shit.
Yeah, and then little thing happened to you. Oh yeah, you lost a fucking leg.
Yeah, that shit
well,
happened.
technically twice, right?
Yeah, I lost it, and then they had to go back in and do another surgery. To
So basically what I'm getting at here, the point being, we all left for different reasons. And hey, guess what, loyal listeners? It's all finally coming full circle. Because remember the first episode, we were kind of touching on it a little bit. And we never really fully got into it. I left independent wrestling in 2015 because I fucking stopped having fun. And I think that is something that I have followed through with everything in my life, is that when I stop having fun, why am I still doing this? And I will tell you the exact moment that I realized I was no longer having fun. I had an anniversary coming up with my significant other at the time. I canceled a show. Sorry that I want to spend time with my significant other on our 1-year anniversary. Sorry about that. Now, maybe I was the bad guy for doing that. I don't know. But
dare you put family before
how
wrestling?
Dare I? Yeah. You know what? There's a difference between Josh and Dickie. Like, Josh has a life. And sorry, but I knew what I was going to be doing, you know. So anyway, come to find out, I get heat for this. I didn't even know, because apparently I was planned for a big angle that night with someone. I didn't know this. And it made this someone very unhappy. And when you made that someone unhappy, it made everyone unhappy because apparently his shit don't stink and everything that he says you gotta do. Now, granted,
Could you be? I can't. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
so anyway, I was like, no, I want to not do this. Now, granted, that relationship ended, and then guess what happened the second that relationship was over? Dickie got fucking back into independent wrestling. And then that is probably, so then that is going to transition into what I think is the next few moments of conversation here. The biggest mistake that I made in my independent wrestling career was coming back at the end of 2017 to do what I did. For me personally, it put me in such an unhappy state. I was very unhappy with how things were being used. I had told the promotion that I was working with, hey, I'm putting you on a 3 strikes rule for getting paid. If this 3 strikes gets met, I'm done-ski. I'm not coming back. Guess what? The 3 strikes hit. And I had my out, and I said, I'm taking this. I'm out. Peace out. Have fun. So, Travis, I'll bring it to you, and then Madrox will bring it to you, or whoever wants to go first, because maybe Travis doesn't have one. Maybe you have one. Whatever. What's the biggest mistakes that you made in your wrestling career?
Inviting you to that tryout. I don't really have mistakes because, I mean, everything's a learning experience with wrestling.
It is.
I don't necessarily want to say like mistakes. Regrets, maybe.
Regret. Okay, let's change it then.
So
Yeah, let's
like,
make it that.
There's 2 things that I regret in wrestling. And the 2 things I regret is, one, as I stated before when I was talking about Rose, even if it didn't make sense, hey, if that's what the promoter's paying me for, that's what maybe sometimes I should have spoke up for myself. But my biggest regret was so I left that job that I had got. So this is the beginning of 2020. So this is January 2020. I decide I'm going to start training. I want to get back in the ring. And I had been off, like I said, the 2K18 had Rollins on the cover, right?
Yes.
So that was the
Isn't it funny that Travis gauges years in wrestling by who was on the cover of a wrestling game that year?
Fine, though.
So 2017, August 5th, 2017, I had my last match at that one show we did at the AmVets.
Yeah.
So
Your last 3 matches.
yeah, my last 3 matches because it was a tournament. When we did the Macho Man Randy Savage $1 Million Man angle, but what if Macho Man lost?
Mm. You went over every night or every match that night with something off the top rope, right?
No, first match was Scott Hall Punch because the kid was too scared to take my swanton. And then the second match was
off the top rope every match.
Yeah, I missed.
Oh, okay, that's what I meant.
I missed the moonsault in the first, or no, I missed something. Second match, I went over with my well, I call it the double whopper with cheese, but it was my swanton. And then the third match, I was supposed to do a moonsault, miss, feet up to take the sick kick from Steven. But I got up there and I was hot and out of breath, and I basically just did a coffin drop. And I was like, fuck it, this is gonna hurt either way. I'd rather be my back than my knees. Boom, hit the mat, feet up, sick kick, I'm done. And then took my shoes off and left the ring.
And then you come back a couple years later.
So in 2020, I decide in January, I start working out. I do a workout for about I do a certain workout for about 4 weeks and dieting and stuff like that. So then in February, I start picking up with more cardio and stuff like that. I'm starting to get in shape and everything. I'm feeling like Travis Weir, the wrestler again. And I actually went to a show. First time going to one since I had left. Because the thought of going to one when I did leave, like, it just always bummed me out, and I'd almost want to cry.
They make you almost feel like a failure.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of how it would make me feel as well.
Yeah, a little bit. And then, so I get a call from a friend who's like, hey, brother, I'm trying to fill a battle royal. Can you come be a surprise? Like, sure, I'll do a battle royal. I get there. He goes, hey, I really need you in the final four. I'm like, brother, I don't want to do that. He goes, no. I goes, these kids got these spots planned and blah, blah, blah. And you've been training, you've been bumping and this, that, and the other. I was like, yeah, okay. Well, I get out there in the ring. Everything's going as good as it can. Don't get me wrong. And we're doing our spots. And I always got upset with myself when a spot got blown. And here we are doing our gimmicks, and a spot got blown. And when that spot got blown, I forgot everything. And I'm in the ring with people I've never been in the ring with before. It's not.
And at the time, greenies as well.
Yes. And I'm looking over, I'm like, fuck, where's Herd?
Because you're used to relying on him.
Because he would tell me what's next, and then bam, that light bulb would go off. And I'm looking around, I'm like, where's, and I start, I go into a full-blown panic attack, and I look over, and thank God Ollie Tharp, just him and his daughter had nothing to do, so they came to the show. I look over at Ollie, and I'm like, Ollie, I need help. Ollie, I need help. And Ollie throws up the X, jumps the guardrail. He's not even part of the show, throws up the X, pulls me out of the ring, takes me to the bathroom, and just takes my head and puts it under a faucet to run cold water, and then sets me down on the toilet and says, Travis, just breathe. Just breathe. You're fine. And he's like, what's the matter? I said, brother, I've never gone blank in the ring. I've never gone blank in the ring with people I don't know in a place I've never, like, of course, I knew the promoter and I knew the gentleman who contacted me to come do it. And it was just one of them scary moments that, like, just, and I immediately walked to the locker room. I took my singlet off because that singlet is still very special to me, and I put it in my bag. And I walked right around that locker room, and I said, what size are you? Guy told me, I said, here's a brand new fucking pair of knee pads. What size are you? Guy told me, brand new fucking pair of boots. Like, I had just spent a lot of money on this gear. And I was like,
because you're about to make the comeback.
I'm like, no, I'm fucking done. I'm this, that, and the other. And then they come to me like, where are you going? You're supposed to wrestle in the main event. I said, no, I agreed to do this battle royal. They're like, no, we need you in the main event because he goes, his shoulders hurt, his knees bummed. Somebody's got to take the heat. I said, I just fucking had a panic attack.
Yeah.
I'm leaving. And I reached over and I said, you can keep the money we agreed on, because even though that was a free promotion, I did not agree on not getting something because of something else. But anyway, I told him, I was like, you can keep that. I don't care. I'm out. And matter of fact, like, I went up to Lace and I had a few things on a merchandise table, and I walked up to my brother and said, bro, I said, hey brother, I'm sorry I did this. I said, there's about, I don't know, 6 action figures, a couple DVDs, and a couple t-shirts on that table. Sell them, keep the money. I'm leaving. I got to go. Went down street to a local convenient care, whatever, just to get everything checked out. Doctor says, oh, you're fine. Whatever. What happened? I was like, I just had an out of body the moment that just really scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
So, this goes back to the brothering thing, because that scared the shit out of me too, and I wasn't even there. I got the phone call from Lacey, his wife.
When I found out about it, I've gotten Travis, I have gotten too many phone calls. Something's wrong with Travis.
Yeah, right. And it's usually, and like,
at least it's not me no more.
But at least it's not you.
But on the side note though, this wasn't something that was so serious, but like, when it's something that you've relied on so much, like, I'm supposed to be in there with this other gentleman. I know he won't be upset me mention his name. I'll call him by his his work name. Sean Franklin. He was supposed to be there with me, but 2 guys thought it was funny and threw him out of the battle royal. So that's what caused the scramble at the end.
Yeah. Yeah. It fucked up the whole flow of the match.
Yeah.
See, you say it like nothing serious, but for me personally, because I've been through the physical pain, and the mental pain is worse than any physical pain ever.
Oh, absolutely.
Your mental state, people don't fucking get it. And that's part of the reason that I got out the 2 times that I did. I mentioned the whole you stop having fun, whatever. It's the mental stuff, man, because I suffer from depression, and
As do I.
I think we all do. Oh, to a point.
110%.
And It's just a matter of knowing how to control. You know, here's the thing. I was in a very, very depressed place in 2011. Going into 2012, midway through 2012, I get a random message on Facebook. Hey, man, you want to come to a tryout? It was this guy sitting to my right. It was Michael Madrox. Professional wrestling put me in such a great mental place. I was so happy. I'm living the childhood dream, yada, yada. Go to 2015, and there is nothing. I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. And I have a few people. I don't hate many people, but there's a few that I do. I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. And that is the realization that you no longer want your childhood dream.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because it makes you question everything about yourself. Everything about yourself.
And, you know, in between 2020 and now, my health has got bad. It's got good. And now, I hate to say this, but now it's acceptable. I say that joking around because everything's where it should be.
Yeah.
And I mean, here it was 3 months ago. I had something serious happen, but it's whatever. However, a lot of things have even changed in my life that, like, you know, I worked very hard for a multi-billion-dollar company that paid me a lot of money that did this and did that and the other. And I thought by stopping wrestling, I was going to make more and be happier. And ultimately, when I stopped wrestling, what's crazy is when I stopped wrestling, I started having health issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I decided to leave said billion-dollar company. Guess what? I don't have health issues anymore.
Stress. Stress does a lot too.
I decide I want to get back into wrestling, and I want to go back to the multi-billion-dollar company. And I went and did both, and neither one worked out. However,
Let's face it, the $1 million company almost killed you.
oh yeah, 3 times.
Physically and mentally.
Yeah. Now I work for we'll say $1 million company. I don't think they're probably not billionaire.
Maybe.
But anyway, because too many people own it. But I work for a company now that I make almost the same amount of money on the hour. But I mean, it's still less, don't get me wrong. But like, oh man, it's just so nice. I don't have to worry about this, that, or the other. But like, I'm like, oh man, I'm itching to do something about wrestling again. And
we've even not to blow our spot here, but we've tried to figure out ways, because I'm just going to level with you right now. You know, we've been doing this podcast for a while, and it's fun, and we love doing MadBash, but there's that missing ingredient. As much as, and it's you. And we have been trying to figure out ways to get you back, because we're the 3 Musketeers, we're the 3 brothers, and we would love for you. We know that at this point in your life, you're not going to be 2014 Travis Weir ever again. But we do want to get you integrated back into it somehow, because, you know, and we're in the weeds on this one,
Travis,
guys.
what we're trying to say is this is an intervention.
No, it's not. No, but we
fucking
agree.
love you.
Like we see, because
Let's be honest. There is no MadBash without Travis Weir.
there's no any of us without Travis Weir. Like, to be perfectly honest, like, what I'm trying to get at here is that you even said it yourself. You talked about how your health issues with wrestling, you were out of wrestling, you lost your health. Same thing with me. I got out of wrestling, my mental health, yada, yada. We get back into it. I'm arguably in one of the best mental places in my entire life right now.
You're welcome.
And it's because of this guy, because he's the one that got me back into it.
Oh, absolutely. And I want to be there too. And like, again, I've mentioned Hurd so many times. I always like to give him little jabs every now and then and be like, you know what? Like, I'm feeling pretty good this weekend. Maybe, I'll post on Facebook. Maybe this weekend I get back in that ring with Blake Reed. And he's like, oh, brother, I got to do. I'm like, brother, I'm just kidding. But I can tell you this much. There's a slim chance that anything happens in 2023 of wrestling at like a promotion. I want to say like a
spot show, if you will.
Well, no, I'm saying in 2023, I probably will not wrestle for an words are tight. Words are hard.
Indie company.
Yes, I probably will not, but I would not be. I want to do something, but I don't want to. I don't want it to be like. I don't want it to feel like, oh, I have to do this because now my two best friends are doing this, and that's why I've been a little standoffish. But then I'm sitting there, I'm like, you know what? I can still fucking throw a clothesline, back elbow, body slam, hit the rope, big
brother.
stupid
We're not
elbow.
asking you to get in a ring. We're asking you to join us. World domination.
What are we gonna do today, Pinky? Same thing we do everything, brain. Wait,
But-
I said that backwards.
It goes back to, we either talked about it last episode or this episode. They all run together at some point, but it's the brotherhood of,
I'd be happy to see Travis Weir behind a merch table at a show.
yeah, just selling our merch for us. Fuck, we don't care. I mean, I just want
the car ride.
the car ride. The car ride is as much, because that's part of what got me that want to get. I don't fucking like driving in cars. However, you get me on my way to a show that I'm fucking excited for.
That's a big fucking truck.
Fuck. That's another funny Travis Weir story. He's asleep in the back seat and we're all talking. Non sequitur Travis just wakes up and looks at a semi and goes, "That's a big fucking truck." And he goes back to sleep.
But like, nonetheless, that car ride is sacred ground.
Yeah.
Kayfabe car.
So there's two things I miss about wrestling shows: car
The
ride
free therapy.
car ride conversations, and the brotherhood of just sitting in a locker room. Like when we would talk about, like, I have a list of my favorite wrestlers who I don't watch wrestle.
Yeah, we've talked about that sometimes before.
There's a guy. His name is Cole James. He's one of my favorite people ever. I never watch his matches, but I would book him for shows just to hang out in the locker room because he was that cool of a guy. And then he'd go, "Hey, what do you want me to do in my match?" I'm like, "I don't care. Whatever you want, brother.
Yeah.
Just come back here so we can keep telling stories." Coolest guy, like one of, like, probably top 10 people I've ever met. And then, the other part of it that, like, I feel that, like, I do have limitations now if I was to get back in the ring, and I could work around that because, one, I'm mature now to the business than I was then, and two, I got nothing to prove, just to have some fun. And when I was listening to another podcast I like to listen to with good old JR, he was talking about how, like, they were like, "Well, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that?" Well, I didn't need to do that. All I had to do is, he goes, "I wrestled Eric Bischoff. All I had to do is smack him one time and get shit kicked out of me."
Yeah.
He goes, "I didn't have to do this. I didn't have to do that." And I was sitting there, I was like, "Huh? You mean to tell me all I had to do is do this? Maybe throw a few lines, maybe take one bump for the kid. I didn't have to go out there and think that I was going to one day wrestle in Ring of Honor or something like that because, whew."
Well, it goes
Even
back.
though at one time I could do those matches,
You did. Matter of fact.
I'm not doing them anymore.
But it goes back to what we talked about in the first episode of this podcast, is that it's character work, and it's just work the gimmick and make it simple. And, you see these guys that go out there and they're doing the planchas and they're doing the destroyers and they're doing all these high spots and everything. And I'm not going to start turning into fucking Cornette here and like, "Shandy, you go out there and they're doing this, but it's like, you got to kind of weigh what you're doing here, brother. How much are you getting paid for this show? How much is this really going to benefit you in the end? Shit like that. And I think that, like, know your worth. And to take it back to the regrets thing, one of my biggest regrets is that it's like, I knew my worth, but I was a little bit too vocal about my worth. And that is a blessing and a curse.
And see, I don't mean to cut you off right there.
No,
I'm going to say the same thing about myself. I knew my worth and I should have spoke up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm right there with you, brother.
Yeah.
I was just there to work.
So my favorite thing about Madrox, talking about just being there to work, is there was this company it's where I got my start. Madrox was pretty big there. He tried to revive it back in 2015 or 2014. Sorry, what was it? 14 or 15?
I have no idea.
Anyway,
When did you have Corbin?
2015. No, 2014.
So it was 2014.
Yes, it was, because it was before my return to a certain place. There was just this toxicity that was going on in our local indie area, and find out that this company that I got my start is coming back, and I want to go back because I want to prove, hey, you doubted me. This is part of the reason I left in the first place. Anyway, point being, it was when I was doing Shoot Dickie Wabash. I'm going out there and I'm just burying people, yada, yada. So the first thing I do is I go out there and I'm burying this other company that I got heat with. Come to find out, a few years later, Michael Madrox goes, you know, the reason I really wanted to bring that company back is because I just wanted to squash all the drama. I just wanted to.
I wanted it to be a safe middle ground for everyone.
Yeah. So then I'm sitting back and I go, literally, the first segment of your first show back, Dickie Wabash is out there just burying people left and right. And I felt so bad. But I mean, it was 5 years ago at this point.
He's the one that killed it.
It was my fault. I just, you know, I'm a career killer.
Let's be
here.
honest. Those 3 CWF shows we did were the utter shits, but they were the utter shits of the most fun I've ever fucking had at a wrestling
I like
show.
to think of myself as like one of the best promoters I ever worked for.
You were a good promoter to work for.
I mean,
yeah.
The first show, Hurt and I worked for no goddamn reason.
That was the crossbody spot.
Yeah. And we go to the second show. We debuted the Body Slam Bros, which is where the BSB comes in his name. And of all the people we could wrestle is Bo Sawyer and Aaron Matthews.
Well,
Why?
Aaron's wearing a life jacket.
Yeah, Aaron goes, hey, I just found this. Can I wear this? And I said, I bet you can't keep it on the whole match. He goes, bet. You don't bet Aaron Matthews.
No,
My
'cause he'll
favorite
do
part
it.
about that match is Aaron hits me with a drop kick to the face, and instead of like selling or going after a move or anything, he stands up and goes, "Holy shit, Madrox, I did it! I got your ass!"
Because he got up high enough. to
Yeah,
fucking-
he goes, I got your ass. I told you I could get high.
So we're honestly, man, this flew by. We're starting to get towards the end here, but we're going to go back to CWF. You talk about the show. We only did 3 shows. Third show is one of my favorite moments at, you know what I'm talking about,
The
Yes,
Spencer
mine
Wallace
too.
moment.
Spencer Wallace, who I don't know if he's ever going to hear this. I hope that he does. Spencer, we love you so much. We talked about you last time too. I want Spencer on this podcast badly. Badly. More than I want to draw my next
I got an
breath.
open mic for Spencer any day of the week.
We have a list of people. We're not going to say who, but there's a list of people that are open mics any day of the week that want to come on this show.
I'll say
Anyway,
a name. Jeff Kyle.
oh, he'll be on here, no doubt. So there's the gauntlet match to determine whoever gets to face Spencer for this title. Now, I'm going to tell this story from my point of view, and then you tell it from the guys that were running the show's point of view.
Okay.
Do we want to say the guy's name that Spencer did this to?
Let's keep it kayfabe.
Okay.
We're not trying to bury anyone
So
yet.
the
That's
guy-
for the shit show.
The guy that Spencer ends up working just runs this gauntlet, and I snuck out, and I'm sitting in the crowd watching this match. He's in the ring. He's selling, you know, getting ready to feed up. Next thing I know, Spencer comes out like he is shot out of a goddamn cannon with just this mean look on his face, and he makes a beeline for that ring and hits this motherfucker with the stiffest elbow right in the mush that I have ever seen at an independent wrestling show.
Knocked him out cold, I believe.
Knocked him the fuck out, picked him up, put him in the corner, and then proceeded to just continue to lay in with elbows. Pinfall, 1, 2, 3, wins the match.
It was a murder.
It was my favorite Spencer Wallace moment ever.
Comes back through the curtain. Motherfucker didn't listen. Sat down. He goes, so, hey guys. And he's like, he's just super mad. Whatever. Motherfucker didn't listen. He goes, so, hey guys, what'd y'all think? Was that okay? Like,
Because that's what Spencer can flip that switch.
yeah, he has to come, sit in the chair, take a couple deep breaths, and then bam, he's back to being this.
He reminds me a lot of Shank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
Shank's that way.
Oh, not going off side trip, but Shank one time at a show, he's like, you, follow me. Bartender, 3 shots. 3 more. keeps handing us shots. We're sitting there drinking. He goes, "Whew. Sorry, guys, I had to come down." I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Me and Travis like legit thought we needed an adult.
Yeah, we're sitting up like, what the fuck is going on? He goes, "Sorry, guys, I had to calm down. Because it just really got to me and doing all that. And thank you. He goes, thank you. Fuck that guy, though." He just walks away.
Yeah. I think it was good to end on that little good note there because, we were kind of a downer on this one. But hey, look,
I don't think it's a downer.
It's not necessarily a downer, but it's just more of the things of like,
it was more serious.
It's not all good times. There's bad times in wrestling. And obviously you hear about them. Like you watch a Dark Side of the Ring, you hear about it, whatever. But I mean,
we barely scratched the surface on the dark side if we want to go that route someday.
I mean,
Halloween special. There we go. We'll take it dark.
There were so many roads that we could go down. And I think we went down the right
special.
ones. He's saying that you be dark on a Halloween special.
I was like,
we had to slow the bus down for Travis.
We're all going to dress like
I-
vampires and talk about depression.
hey, I'll tell you, not to be a Debbie Downer, but one of the things that actually always offended me in wrestling that involved you was,
You being Madrox.
yeah, my bad. Other than you being a terrible human, no, I'm just kidding. Was that certain promoters would try to get a rise out of you and be like this, that, and the other, and you'd be like, "No, I'm not doing that. I'm going to come and do this and have fun, or I'm not coming." And then they would go on blast to saying, "Oh, well, this, that, or the other," and then he'll never, come do this here. And then he's like, "We're just at a festival." He's like, "Oh my God, I really need you to. Can you guys come?" And Matt Drox is looking at him and goes, "Oh, but I'm just not good fucking enough to do this, blah, blah, blah." He goes, "Oh, but I'm just not." I was like,
But
"Shut
that's
up."
knowing your worth.
That is knowing my
that's
worth.
knowing
I
your
kept up
worth.
to my damn word.
Yeah.
He goes, "Fuck that, I ain't doing that." And I was like, "Brother, our gear's in the car." He goes, "God damn it. The one time I wanted you to leave it at home." So we went and did it. But
we, but there's a road that we could have gone down. Shitty promoter encounters. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's 3 episodes there.
Yeah.
But like I said, these people, like if someone would go online and tear something down, they'd be like, "Hey, brother, I want you to post about this." And Matt Drox look at him and be like, "No, that doesn't do anything for me, you, or them. Fuck that."
I'm the most level-headed, chilled, and relaxed person I know.
He really is.
Now, we might sit around my table, in my old house. We might sit around the table, drink, and say, "Oh, motherfuck this guy and that, and then the other," or this bitch, blah, blah, blah. But, even though we're at times immature adults, we're adults at some time that don't need to bash everything on the social media outlets. Like,
What is it? Like Jim Ross says, it's play fighting.
yeah.
Exactly.
We don't need to get this serious over it. Like, we don't need to be blocking people on social media, and we don't need to be passive aggressively looking at people if you see them in public and just have it. It's guys, come on.
It's bullshit.
It's so easy to just work together.
I will say this. I have been a part of, I can't, it's kind of make me sound like an oxymoron.
Hey, I've been a part of it too.
But like,
I'm guilty as charged.
I was at a show. My wife was at a festival. Someone vandalized my car, and my wife sent me a picture of it. And I said something along the lines of, I text somebody, be like, "Hey, go check on my wife. She's scared. Somebody did something to our car." They went and checked on it. Everything was fine. And somebody had said something about, said person did it. So I called said person out. I was like, "Did you do something to my car?" And they're like, "I didn't write on your car with mustard." I said, "I didn't ask what happened to my car."
I remember this. I forgot about that story until just now, and I think I know who you're accusing of doing it.
And
allegedly.
Yeah.
Great guy.
Since then, there was a few inside jokes back and forth, but I like to feel that we've gotten over it. But that's also one of the most unforgivable things and that's what also made me ultimately realize certain things about social media and how this, that, and the other. But like, I never once said what happened to my car. I just said, "Hey, did you do something to my car?"
And they ratted themselves out.
Yeah. And then I don't want to talk about any more of it because I'm going to start shooting. But
Part 3, the shoot fest.
no, brother, I don't know if we could ever have a shoot fest show.
We'd get canceled.
May need to be behind a paywall.
Yeah.
someday. You never know.
So
You guys hear that? Coming to Twitch exclusive.
Yeah.
So I will say there's one last thing I would like to bring up before we call it a day. If you hadn't had to, like, okay, let's say if you could have changed one thing that you have done, and it doesn't have to be anything major, it'd be something small. What was the one thing you think you would have put the kibosh on and not done?
Put the kibosh on and not done?
Yeah, or say like, man, I didn't do this.
That's
I
a
should have
tough
done
one,
this.
yeah.
So I tell you, for me, I should have never brought the good-looking guy to UWC, even though I had time of my life. Had time of my life that summer. Had some of the most incredible matches I ever had. That's how I got to wrestle Spencer for the first time. It was great.
Yeah.
But
We've put over Spencer so much.
I fucking
He's
love
so
him.
great. We need to get him on here. Man, something that... Okay.
Like, I could think of things for you, but like myself, like,
For me?
yeah. But
Shoot, brother.
Like, I know you would regret it. I can't talk about them on film.
Okay, well, we'll
But,
talk about it. Like, I have one in mind, but you go right ahead.
But like for myself, like I don't think I would have changed anything because whatever I did is the reason I'm here today and made me the man I am. If that makes sense.
That
to
makes
you guys.
sense, yeah. There's one thing that, because I was still new to the business, that happened to me where I started off as a ring announcer. I want to be a manager. So I go to the promoter and I'm like, hey, brother, I don't want to ring announce anymore. I'm sorry. I want to be a manager. That's what I wanted initially to be. Oh, no, we don't have room for a manager right now on the roster. Fine. I understand. I get it completely. Next show, this motherfucker comes out as a manager. What I should have done was handed him the microphone and said, fuck you, and walked out, is what I should have done. But no, I stayed for a couple more shows, and then some other things happened. But that's probably what, I'm not going to say that's the biggest thing, but it's one of, and it probably would have changed my entire trajectory. But that was my first super shady promoter encounter that like I said, we'd get into shady promoters. We'll be here another hour and we don't have that time. But yeah, that's one of the biggest ones. That was my first Iggy to the business being there's a lot of scumbags in the business. And, you know, I made a post on my Instagram a few weeks ago talking about when I left independent wrestling, I thought it was a cesspool full of just all these awful people. Well, I got to spend time recently with people in independent wrestling that proved to me that it's not all bad. That it's not all bad. And I think that's what we're going to leave you guys with right there is that, you know, don't let what we say begrudge you from the wrestling business. I definitely have regrets, but wouldn't change much because like Madrox said, it made us who we are. Got us to where we are.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
this podcast wouldn't have probably happened.
Even though, like I said, my biggest regret was bringing the good-looking guy to UWC. I still had the time of my life.
Yeah, I agree.
And it was still fun.
With every negative, there's a positive.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I will leave you with this little bit of advice. Don't let the negative turn into another negative. Try to make a positive out of it. I think that's what we need to do. Hey, guys, listen. Thank you for, this is the longest episode we've done so far, I think. And just so you guys know, we could have gone another X amount of time. Travis, we're going to have you back again. We have to. I think that for me, I'm going to speak for Madrox because I think he won't care if I speak for him.
I cared earlier when you ordered me the wrong size chicken strips.
I did. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry. But I think to speak for Madrox, like you're the best. I mean, you're the first guest that we've had, obviously, but you set the bar very high.
Oh yeah, like I said, I'm the Winston Zedmore to our Ghostbusters because like I don't have to be here all the time, but I will be here most of the time.
Yeah, but hey, before we get out of here, a reminder: go to your favorite podcast provider. Leave us a 5-star review. That stuff really, really helps us in the grand scheme of things as we're trying to grow this.
And I'm still looking for pink VHS tapes
Travis
to make
is
custom Tapes.
Travis is still looking for VHS tapes. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you find us. Like I said, 5-star review, please, 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 please. You can check us out, MadBash Studios on Facebook. You can follow me at AttaboyDickie on Instagram and on Twitter. Maybe by this point, Travis's Twitter account and stuff is back. We'll leave a little link ski in the bio if that's the case.
Probably not, but maybe.
Probably not, but maybe. Madrox, Madrox_BSB on every social media platform.
Don't forget to check out the MadBash YouTube channel as well.
Yeah, we're gonna.
We never plug that.
We never do. We're gonna be trying to post more on that YouTube channel. We really do, because our mission statement is audio, visual, and beyond, and we've really only focused on the audio so far. But we promise that we're going to explore the other two of that in 2023. 2023 is going to be a good year. I think it's going to be a blast. We're firing on all cylinders right now.
Yes,
Love
and
it.
I'm going to go ahead and give out a little surprise.
Oh,
Starting in April, we'll say April. That gives me a little bit of time to get a few things together. There will be I don't know if they're called shorts or what. There will be a segment coming entitled "True Story." Not sure how true it is.
yeah, we started
Coming in
working on
April.
this. Yeah. Travis Weir, true story. Not sure how true it is. That's definitely coming. That's down the pipeline. We got so many things coming for you guys. Like I said, in order to make this stuff really be sure that it works, we got to grow. We got to grow with those 5-star reviews. Got to grow with those recommendations, those sharings, all of that. We appreciate what you guys have done for us so far very much. Please keep it up. For Michael Madrox and our guest Travis Weir, I've been Dickie Wabash, and we'll see you guys next time.